This is the Monport 90W CO2 laser, and this is the optional 6-liter industrial water chiller. In this video, I'm going to show you what unboxing this beast of a machine looks like, how to set it up, and how to keep it running flawlessly. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by Monport, and both of these machines were sent to me in exchange for me making content with them. I'll always let you know when a video is sponsored or not, and this one is. So make sure to head over to monport.com and use the code MODHOB to get 10% off your next order. Like I mentioned, this is the Monport 90W laser and their optional industrial water cooler. This laser has a 24 by 36 inch work area with a 3-inch pass-through slot on the front and back, and an autofocus sensor so you don't have to manually set the height. It can engrave up to 800 millimeters per second with a 4500 DPI resolution. It has built-in air assist, red dot guidance, and 3 LED strips inside for incredible visibility while you're cutting. It's controlled by a Ruida digital controller, which is compatible with all popular laser software, and you can control it over USB, Ethernet, or straight from the control pad on top. So naturally, when Monport reached out and asked if I wanted to make some cool projects with this machine, of course I said heck yes. But what I didn't know is that FedEx Freight would bring the wimpiest pallet jack on planet Earth and drop it off at the end of my gravel driveway. So there I was with a 400-pound machine sitting at the end of my driveway with no pallet jack and rain in the forecast. I might not have a pallet jack, but what I do have is an old 2x4 and a healthy dose of stubbornness. So bit by bit, I wiggled the machine all the way up my driveway, 6 inches at a time. Eventually, I made my way up to the shop where I left myself very little room to actually unpack this machine. But with a drill and a little finagling, I was able to get the side panels off so I could get my first look at the machine. All in all, it came packaged very well. The pallet was missing a foot, which made the wiggling up the driveway difficult, but I think that's more of a FedEx problem. Regardless, the machine came undamaged and somehow remained undamaged throughout the unpacking. Each foot had a bolt holding it in place, so once I removed those, I made a little ramp and carefully rolled the machine off the pallet. My wife then got mad at me for not asking her for help, but I don't need help. Look at those dad caps. Anyways, after removing some plastic wrap and cardboard, this beast was finally officially unpacked. Now, if you're wondering, did he really run back inside to grab a banana for scale? You bet your ass I did, because this thing is a monster, and I can't wait to fire it up and see what awesome projects I can make with it. But before I can actually do that, there are a couple simple but very important things you need to do. First, and most obvious, don't forget to install some sort of ventilation. This laser comes with about 6 feet of exhaust tubing and some pipe clamps, so just mount the tube onto the exhaust port on the back and either run it out a window or into a stronger exhaust fan. Next, never run the laser without having some sort of cooling in place. Some lasers have built-in water coolers, so all you gotta do is fill the reservoir with distilled water and you're good to go. But this specific model doesn't. However, it does come with a big blue tote and a water pump, which couldn't be easier to install. One of the provided tubes connects to the inlet port of the laser and the top of the pump, while the other tube connects to the outlet port of the laser and goes back into the tote. Then the pump itself gets suction cupped to the bottom of the tote and plugged into the outlet on the back of the laser. The process is pretty much the same for the industrial water chiller, except this baby will keep your water temps between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius, which is chilly, meaning your laser will be one happy camper. To set up the chiller, use the same 2 tubes that came with the laser and connect the laser's output port to the chiller's input port and vice versa. Once you've got the water pump or chiller all connected, fill it up with distilled water and a dash of Dawn dishwashing liquid if you want. The dishwashing liquid will help to lubricate the pump motor as well as the CO2 tube, allowing the air bubbles inside the tube to evacuate more easily. Finally, you're ready to plug the machine in, so take both power cords out of the packaging and plug each one into a port on the back. The other super easy but very important step you need to take before running this machine is aligning the mirrors. This sounds confusing and complicated, but it's really not. All you need is some masking tape or painter's tape, a 7mm wrench, and a 2.5mm Allen wrench. Open up the back panel on your machine to reveal the laser tube. Put a small piece of masking tape over the entrance to the first mirror and firmly press all around the circle hole so that you can see an imprint of it on the tape. Leave the tape for now and head around to the front of your machine to power it on. The machine's going to do its thing and home itself, after which you're going to want to set the max power to somewhere between 10 and 15%. You can do that by pressing the max power button, using the arrows to adjust each digit, and then pressing enter to lock it in. The exact value you need to set it to will vary for your machine, but basically you want to set it as low as possible such that the laser still fires when you press the pulse button, which for most machines is between 10 and 15%. Once you've set the max power, slap on the 6 shades they send with it, turn the laser key to on, and quickly press the pulse button. You may not have noticed anything, but if you go back around to your masking tape, you should see a little hole, hopefully, smack dab in the middle of your circle. If you don't see a hole, bump up the max power a % or two and try again. If you do see a hole and it's right in the middle, you're good to go. If it's not centered, you can adjust the laser tube up, down, left, or right using the thumb screws under the tube until the pulse puts the hole right in the middle of the circle. Make sure to adjust both the front and back thumb screws evenly so the laser tube itself is level. Once you've centered your little dot, move the laser head all the way to the front of the work area using the arrows on the control pad and put a small piece of tape on the next mirror, which can be accessed from the side panel, and fire off another pulse. This time, if the dot is off center, it's a little bit more confusing to adjust, but it's still not too bad. Each mirror is mounted on 2 spring-loaded bolts and angled with 3 thumb screws. The top thumb screw moves the laser path up when tightened and down when loosened. The left bolt moves the laser path left when tightened and right when loosened. The last middle bolt moves the laser path diagonally. Tightening it moves the laser path down and right, while loosening it moves the laser path up and left. If everything looks good, repeat this process for the second mirror, making sure to test on both the far and near side of the axis. Once you've got the second mirror aligned, the last mirror to adjust is the one on top of the focus tube. This one, in my experience, is the most important to get right, but it can be a bit tricky. The process is mostly the same. You want to put a piece of masking tape on the tip of the focus tube, pressing it into place firmly so the outline of the tube leaves an impression, which you can use to determine if the beam is centered or not. For me, the beam was so far off from being centered that it was bouncing off the side of the focus tube and scattering. On the masking tape, it was centered, but instead of a small dot, I was getting a line. I didn't think about it at the time, but I figured it was centered and moved on to cutting some leather, and it did not go well. Once I figured out what was going on, I adjusted the last mirror and had this baby purring. If you take a closer look at the actual laser head, you'll notice a couple of things. First, you'll see the third mirror at the top that hopefully you got correctly aligned now. Next is the guide laser, which should turn on automatically with the overall laser, but you may have to adjust it so it's correctly pointing where the actual laser will hit. Last is the autofocus sensor, which is mounted onto the side of the laser head. This sensor will allow you to automatically focus the laser for whatever material you're using, and honestly, it's awesome. To use it, move your laser head so that the sensor is over your stock material, then go into the menu on your Rowita controller, navigate down to autofocus, click enter, and that's it. Once you start the autofocus routine, the bed will move up until it triggers the sensor, then it'll do it again to refine the positioning, then finally it will move the laser to a preset height. So at this point, your laser is ready to go. You've connected your water cooler, aligned all your mirrors, autofocused the laser head, and all that's left to do is set up a cut in your software of choice. I happen to use Lightburn, but this machine works with all the major software on the market. I'm not going to cover that in this video because the setup is going to look a little bit different for all of them. So use whatever you prefer and just get to cutting. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully after watching this video, you know how to get your laser unpacked, all set up and running perfectly so you can get out there and start making some awesome projects. Once again, this is the Monport 90W laser and the 6-liter industrial water chiller. If after watching this video you want to get yourself one of these bad boys, check out the link in the description and don't forget to use the code MODHOB to get 10% off your order. That's right, 10%, which for a machine like this is a good chunk of money. But that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, but make sure to leave a comment down below if I left anything out. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.